Good morning and welcome to the Stahls TV Morning Show. I'm Courtney.
And I'm Josh.
And we're excited to be back this week, or excited to have you back this week, to talk about some new topics and share some new ideas and some things about starting a clothing line, and also some ways to talk a little bit about ways to take current events, whether it's professional, collegiate, or just something going on in your local area, and leveraging them for your business. And so last week we talked a lot about fan wear and fan apparel, and really talked about how to take the high school or the local market and take it to the next level. And so this will kind of look at a different area of sports or current events that we're seeing happening.
Yeah, first I just want to say it's great to be back. It really is. And so I watched the episode last week that you and Jenna did, and I thought it was awesome. If you haven't watched that episode, there's a lot of really cool stuff that they've created, concepts that I think can impact your business this fall. So I'd suggest go to stahlstv.com, look at the past episodes, and check that out. The garments are hanging to our side over here, but you can't see them on air, but you can watch the video, and really cool stuff. I was just checking that out. So a lot's been happening at Stahls TV. We've had a fair amount of travel, and we were actually able to send our video production manager on the road. I guess it's been about 6 weeks ago to the Skillsusa competition. And so as an apparel decorator, you may not have heard of Skillsusa, but it's a national contest that basically takes high school students and pits them against each other in a lot of different skills or trades to better prepare them for the workforce. And so SGIA, who's very active in the apparel decorating community, the Specialty Graphics Imaging Association, well, you may know them by their SGIA Expo that they run every year, but they have been really instrumental in pushing apparel decoration and helping to be an advocate for the apparel decorating community with this Skillsusa organization, all with the goal of creating a better trained workforce to enter into your shops to ultimately work for you, work with you, or even to start their own business. So Joe was able to capture some great video footage, and we want to share about a 5-minute clip with you now that explains what this competition is all about. I'm Josh Ellsworth with StahlsTV.com. Stahls TV's mission is to provide free education for today's apparel decorator. Recently, we had the opportunity to join with other industry colleagues to support some work that SGIA is doing with an organization called Skillsusa. Now, this was our first time at the Skillsusa National Championship in Kentucky, and I can tell you the energy and the atmosphere was truly electric. I hope this video will share a bit about the work that SGIA is doing there on behalf of the industry.
Skillsusa is an organization that focuses on filling the skills gap in the U.S. So they have a variety of competitions here focused on the skilled trades, including welding, carpentry, electrical, aircraft maintenance, body repair, robotics, cosmetology. And the whole idea and the concept of this organization is for industry, education to come together to support the future workforce.
My favorite thing is seeing how big it is and how many people actually compete in different things, like all the different competitions that they have here, everything that they do. It's really cool how they do that.
My experience here at the competition has been amazing. I've met a lot of great people, made some good friends, and just all around had a really good time.
Here at Skillsusa, we run 2 competitions. The first one is screen printing technology, and in that competition the competitors are required to do a number of tasks, including coat a screen, expose a screen, register an image on press, and print as many 5-color shirts as they can in a certain amount of time. They also have to go through an oral assessment, which is similar to a job interview. We also have a quality control station where they have to identify any defects in decorated products.
Skillsusa has really opened up my screen printing abilities because it's given me a competitive edge to actually drive me to have some of the influences, like being able to do things more precisely rather than just for a job, and have more precision time and be able to work through things in a allotted time period.
In the graphic imaging sublimation competition, it's very similar in that the students are asked to do a design for a tile mosaic. They have to print that design through a dye sublimation printer, and then they have to transfer that image to tiles. They also do t-shirts, license plates, cutting boards, and in the past we've done coffee mugs, latte mugs, mouse pads, and things like that.
I learned new procedures that I didn't know, way to make things faster and cleaner and better even. So I'm really happy actually.
And it's been really interesting to some of the new things that we've done I've never done before. So it's been really fun to try new things and see how it turns out.
The student you just heard from, Kalani, competed and won her local chapter, then went on to win the state of Missouri, and finally won gold at the Nationals. Now, Stahls TV joined with other vendors in the industry to award her with a prize package that included a brand new heat press. Who knows, maybe she'll start her own business. Now, while prizes are great and an awesome take-home, perhaps the greatest win is the sense of accomplishment that these students get from printing a shirt.
People don't really understand how much work really goes into making t-shirts. So putting all the work together and seeing the customer or the client's reaction to the t-shirt you just made, it blows my mind. I love seeing the way that they smile and the way that react.
As soon as you lay down that final color and you lift the screen, you see what you finally made and you know it's yours, and I love it.
You know, it makes me feel accomplished when I see someone walk around wearing my t-shirt or my design. It's like, hey, I did that. And it just makes me feel really good and happy.
Now, I mentioned it in the video, but you can just see, and you saw in the video, I guess, the excitement of these students, even prior to anybody being crowned national champion, but they work so hard to get to this event. And ultimately, all of this is going to benefit the apparel decorator in a way that they get more skilled labor coming into the screen printing shop, the sublimation shop, and of course, as Stahls TV, we sort of are advocates for heat printing, so one of our big takeaways is we want to advance heat printing at the high school level and start to get it into the curriculum, established curriculum for local high schools. So we have a big mission to take on there, and as we like to do, we'll teach you along the way as we develop that curriculum and share that how-to information, that basic 101. And share updates from the Skillsusa. Before we sort of leave the topic, I want to make sure Joe spent a fair amount of time prepping for this and attending this event and captured all the footage and the experience for us. Joe, you want to share anything about your experience there?
Yeah, for me, it was actually a 2-day event for myself, and the kids, though, they were there for the whole week. And for me, I felt it was very inspirational when you come away from that place, because the kids are really into what they're doing, and it's over 6,000 of them competed throughout the week, and to see that many kids into a trade and to really be looking to perfect their craft. A lot of times everybody's down on the youth of America, but this brings it back home to the fact that, you know, there's a lot of good kids out there.
Yeah, good. All right. Well, I appreciate that, and we certainly share in the excitement. We look forward to investing into the future of youth, specifically through this organization and SGIA. As we get on to today's topic, which is a nice transition, a lot of kids learn to screen print, and a lot of even apparel decorators, as they look to enter the apparel decorating market, understand screen printing and embroidery as sort of lead technologies. But when you really dive deeper and start to understand success and opportunities available with heat printing, as our Stahls TV audience well knows, there's a lot of opportunities, not just for heat printing the one shirt at a time or at the mall kiosk or some of the traditional boardwalk shops that you see with heat printing, but we know it can power complete t-shirt lines and brands and online businesses. And so as we see sort of a resurgence of these folks looking to Stahls TV to help me start my own t-shirt line, we've launched a new video series, right?
We did, yeah. So we added on the website a new how to start your clothing line section. And so if you just go to stahlstv.com, here on the front screen, you'll notice it has a start here to start your own clothing line. And the video series really walks through a lot of different things that all apparel decorators can benefit from, including how to find the right blank apparel for your clothing line, choosing a print technology, private labeling. There's a lot of different things to consider because, as we know, when people start their own clothing line or they're looking to start their t-shirt brand, they're usually thinking about either outsourcing it or they're looking to bring it in-house and decorate themselves. But there's always a ton of different things to consider. What print technology do I use? Do I outsource all of it? Do I outsource a portion of it? And there's a lot of considerations that we try to educate people on.
Yeah, so I know a lot of people that run a custom apparel shop and decorate on demand also have a desire to start their own t-shirt line or establish their own brand, and we'll be sharing over the next, I guess, 8 weeks in morning shows, 8 ways to improve your brand, whether that's your own t-shirt shop or your clothing line that sort of goes along with this. But as you look at this, it's not just a screen printing fits all mentality. The whole concept for this video series came from a conversation that we had with a potential customer at the Imprinted Sportswear show in Long Beach. And he walked into the booth, happened into our booth since we're right at the front of the hall at the ISS shows, and was looking to get his line screen printing or invest in screen printing equipment to print his own t-shirt line. And really what that means is he was going to invest a ton of money up front in capital and space to invest in screen printing equipment. I just asked the simple question, have you ever seen a screen printed transfer? Do you understand what you can do with a screen printed transfer? And he hadn't, so we walked over to the Transfer Express booth, pressed one down together, and then really started to dive into the financial benefits of using screen printed transfers. So just to sort of break that down in the thrust of the series, we came up with the concept to do this video series based on that conversation, created a gang sheet on Transfer Express, which is an important part of the equation when you look at screen printed transfers versus direct screen printing. And what you can see here in a gang sheet, whether it's for a clothing line or just for your business in general, is we've effectively nested up, let's see, what is it, 5 different designs, as well as 10 different clothing labels, custom labels for the line. And now, when you look at this, it looks all black. This is just an Elastoprint transfer, but you can see there's different designs. And once you trim these apart, and you can pay a fee to get them cut apart, or you can trim them apart manually, and you start to print apparel with them. And so let me show you some of these finished looks if we can bring it in tight here. Thank you. And so this particular one, the idea is we did a mock-up Wayland Smith apparel, which is the name of our street here that we're located on Stahls TV. And so this is one of the designs, just a black and blue design. We stuck to the same color palette. As we start to flip this over, we see another design. And so you see the whole concept is built just off of this color palette. But when you have something, whether it's a school, a team, that's in the same colorways, if you can start to design and merchandise left chest logos or center front sort of horizontal logos, there's opportunity to gain additional profit.
Yeah, and I think when we're looking at the gang sheet, we're thinking about people that are starting their own clothing line. And we think about whether they're coming to decorators that we're talking to every day, asking them to help with fulfillment, or they're looking to start it themselves. The gang sheet really leads to a lot of ability to cut costs and keep things very inexpensive, because you could certainly stock all of those gang sheets, and as the clothing company needs more ordered, or if you need to print more for your customers, it allows you to just quickly trim them apart and print the items that they're bringing in-house.
Yeah, and we know that a lot of the sales growth just in general, both in this industry and outside of it, is happening online. That's no surprise. And so when you think about that e-commerce experience, it's not like where I'm walking into a store and I need to have all the physical blanks printed. I literally can merchandise thousands of styles and exponentially increase my number of styles, whether that's colors and sizes, and basically just commit the transfer to order. So the idea here is once the sales come in from my e-commerce site, at the end of the day, at the close of business, or throughout the day, I just grab the transfer I need, and then I commit it to the size and color of t-shirt. And that sort of leaves you open and with your inventory investment, especially if it's in transfers, so all of your t-shirts aren't committed, because I wish all my ideas were good. I tend to think they are, but often you miss on something, right? And when you commit it to that t-shirt inventory, there's a lot of risk there and a lot of expense and cost. And so that's the concept of using screen printed transfers with the clothing line.
Yeah, when we talk a little bit about, you got into some of the blank apparel and things that you choose for your brand, and I think as we're selecting blank apparel, we talk a lot about where to source things here at the morning show. It's always important, but when you think about what items should I source, it should match your brand and it should match kind of the vision that you're going for. And so if I'm decorating for more of a trendy, more of a millennial customer, I'm probably going towards these light tri-blend style garments versus a 100% cotton t-shirt that may be more popular if my main customer is construction companies or municipalities. And so being able to select the specific blank apparel for your brand, I think is really important to understand.
Yeah, and that's what we've done with this particular line here. We designed on a tri-blend, use that sort of as our blank canvas where you get, it's well documented here on Stahls TV, but for those of you that don't watch as often, it's a very super soft blend of 3 fabrics, cotton, polyester, rayon. It's just unbelievable. I bought a couple of these shirts for myself, and now I just continue to reorder them because it just feels so much more comfortable than your typical 100% cotton or 50-50 sort of open-ended cotton t-shirt. It's just a higher-end fabric. But you also enter in, as we mentioned, rayon and polyester, so you have some heat sensitivity issues and special considerations. It's not the type of garment that I can just direct a garment print on or that I can just sublimate. We need a special sort of heat-sensitive transfer. And so we wanted to launch a quick poll to see how many of you have actually ordered Elastiprints before, as sort of an interactive part of the morning show here, which is a screen-printed transfer type that we're showing you here from, that we've used on this particular example from Transfer Express. So we're just curious, how many people have actually used that product before?
Yeah, and I think if you're thinking about decorating a lot of these heat-sensitive tri-blend items and you know that's going to be the vision for your brand, then Elastiprint or a transfer that's low temperature would be the one you would stock. It's your shop because, of course, it's going to set you up for successful printing for all of the different styles.
Yeah, because the reality is I can use this, if we want to close out the poll, I can use this Elastiprints on 100% cotton as well.
Right.
So it's not just heat-sensitive items. Once I have this inventory, yeah, I'm going to pay about 50 cents more in cost per sheet, but it's going to leave me a lot more open to what I can use it on. So what were the results of our poll, Joe?
21% have already used it, and
Good.
79% have not.
Okay, so for those that haven't used it, Elastiprints is sort of one of the best kept secrets of Transfer Express, and I know Ted Stahl at tedstahl.com, if you read that, he just blogged about Elastiprints as well and its benefits specifically for screen printers, because screen printers often have challenges with heat-sensitive fabrics, and Elastiprints, all the magic is in the transfer, you just have to heat press it. One last piece about these blank apparel that we wanted to mention. So we talked about matching your blank apparel selection to your vision or the concept, matching the print technology to your blank apparel, such as Elastiprints, and then private labeling is a key piece. And we're going to talk more in detail about this later, but if we can, we're coming in close here. You can see part of this gang sheet we had extra space. So as a way to just sort of elevate the garment and give it our own style, we added Wayland Smith there in the sizing. Now, of course, you want to make sure that you have all the proper specs that you have to include on the tag, especially if you're tearing away the existing tag. And a lot of these blank apparel options right now come with tearaway tags, so I can simply tear this out and remove it. But the idea that with a small little 4x4 platen in my standard heat press, I'm putting in my own custom labeling, whether it's on the inside of the shirt, the bottom hem, wherever it may be.
Yeah, I think it adds a lot of, it just really elevates the brand and adds kind of a different dimension that we don't see in everyday apparel. It helps make your brand more recognizable to people that maybe aren't currently familiar with your brand. It just helps them to remember where that nice, soft, comfortable shirt came from.
Good. So that talks a little bit about starting your own clothing line. With transfers, there's a lot of takeaways, even if that's not your interest from the video series, that may benefit you as we start to build that out. But kind of switching gears for our last topic of today's morning show is printing, capitalizing on fandom and really just spirit wear and hot market opportunities. And we have a good example of this we want to share.
We do, yeah. So there's a lot of opportunities to sell for current events. And so when the Cavs won the championship earlier this year, we saw a lot of brands from specifically Transfer Express that really were successful. But this one was Fresh Brewed Tees, another great example of a t-shirt clothing line or brand that took in part of the event, which was J.R. Smith's tattoos and him being shirtless during the big parade that they had millions of, or I guess 500,000 people in Cleveland attend. And they actually got together with J.R. Smith and were able to sell a ton of these t-shirts. and capitalize on a current event.
And then, of course, some of the tattoos had copyright infringement and licensing, so they did some different things there that they had to make some modifications on the actual tattoos, but this is sublimated. And so the idea that I can print this on a large format sublimation printer with a large format heat press and literally sandwich both sides and press it onto this polyester blank. And you can see they have fresh brewed teas there, custom labeled with screen printing or screen printed transfer. So a lot of takeaways here with capitalizing on hot market. Now, not all of us have cut and sew sublimation or large format heat presses, but you can take this concept and dive down to the local market. So we tried to do that here as we're gearing up during training camp for Steeler season, right?
Right. We're more Steeler fan than Cleveland here in Pittsburgh, but there's a lot of opportunities if you're staying up to date with what's current in your area, whether it's professional and collegiate sports. I live in Morgantown, West Virginia, so college sports are really big in our college town, and there's opportunities to be able to print for these that aren't licensed. And so a lot of people completely stay away from these opportunities because they may be afraid of licensing, but there's still ways to maybe or become creative and create your own popular saying, maybe something that's trending on the internet, on Twitter or on Instagram, taking the colors of the team and maybe just leveraging that like we're going to show in a little bit, but taking that idea, being creative with it, and still leveraging the sales for these current events.
Yeah, and so let's go over to the heat press and show you that right now.
So keeping with the screen printed transfer theme, we're just again using another screen printed transfer. Now for the Steelers, we just went ahead and leveraged black and yellow, a football player, all Steel City, so it was all completely unlicensed, but things that if you were from Pittsburgh or you identified with the Steelers as a brand, you would certainly recognize that and be able to see this as a fan shirt. So I've loaded up my screen printed transfer. This one, separate from Elasti Prints, is actually a goof-proof transfer.
Yeah, and goof-proof, just for clarity, is the ink formula. As we start to lock this one down, the difference between them is Elastiprints applies at the 300 degree range. Goof-proof is up at 365. It's a much quicker application for 100% cotton, and it's basically goof-proof, just like the name. So you can see a couple takeaways. Number one, as Courtney mentioned, is we're leveraging sort of the pop culture reference to Black and Yellow, which is the name of a song that's very popular in Steeler country here. And then we've popped in Steel City as just a generic term for the city of Pittsburgh. And then we've also leveraged a piece of clip art available within the Easy View designer of Transfer Express, which is popular as well. Anytime you see Under Armour or Nike unveiling their latest football uniforms, the football players are always holding up the double hands here, showing off the logo that's been printed on the gloves. So we leverage that as a portion of the design. And then, of course, added a distress filter on top of it. So we got a lot happening in this design.
And the distress filter has been really popular. We've seen that a lot of decorators using it. I think we showed on the morning show last week, but it just takes that design. And again, the concept behind this is we would think of who are we selling these to? We're selling these to people that are in the Pittsburgh area that are diehard Steeler fans. They may be a younger generation, so the distress print really speaks to them and really just creates a good look there.
Yeah, so whoever created this one must be a design genius.
Must be.
Just saying. Or they had Easy View designer and a lot of the work's done for them because they're not really that good.
No, that's probably
Anyways, I made it. But I'm excited for concepts like this. Now, obviously, you want to make sure that you're not violating any licenses or trademarks as far as the logos go. But you know what's popular in your town or popular in the communities that you're affiliated with or that you follow, whether that's through Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever we mentioned. But the idea of being able to come up with a concept like this and target market, because that's really why a lot of this works, because I can render advertisements for this particular shirt style to Pittsburgh and the surrounding areas, whether that's through Google AdWords or through marketing with Facebook. There's a lot of opportunities to target your message, your t-shirt design, your story to a particular audience and leverage sales. So that's when we look at businesses that are growing, a lot of them are leveraging targeted advertising. It's no surprise. And so I would recommend, if you're not doing targeted advertising specifically to a niche market, consider that as we lead into next year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
So next week we got a pretty exciting episode as usual. I won't be here, but I think you're going to be talking about pricing strategies and kicking off the 8 ways to improve your brand. So we've got a lot of fun things that we'll share.
Yeah, one of the top questions from you, well, two top questions we're going to address in this coming week. Next Monday's morning show is going to be talking about pricing strategy, which is always a top question. How do you calculate costs? What do I sell it for? So we're going to talk about different strategies for setting pricing there. And then actually on Wednesday of this week, we have another live show. It's not a morning show, but our live events on stahlstv.com, and we'll be talking about the guide for layering heat transfer films. One of our top questions is, how do I combine this? And so we'll be addressing that this Wednesday, and you can sign up on stahlstv.com.
I think that's it.
That was my big throw to you for the big finish. Thanks for watching the Stahls TV Morning Show, and we'll see you next Monday.